The celebration of Beltane begins with the Walpurgis Night and the night before May 1st in the Northern Hemisphere, and is one of the 8 sabbaths from the wheel of the year. It is the midpoint between the Spring Equinox and the Summer Solstice, and a much anticipated turn of the wheel, because it brings with it the promise of the rich abundance that we experience every year in summer. It is also the beginning of summer in the Irish calendar. In the past there was not a set date when this festival started, but it was, and in Ireland still is said, that when the full moon is in full bloom with the hawthorn, the festivities began. The origin of the word Beltane is not clear, but it could be derived from bel, meaning radiant, shining, bright, and tene, meaning fire, resulting in the meaning bright fire. Beltane coincides with the time of the zodiac sign Taurus, so the energy behind that Sabbath is really that we dance into May and approach the peak of the light, Letha, on June 21st, with a confident stride. Nature is in full blossom now. Many animals are seeking partners, birds are building beautifully shaped nests for their offspring, and farmers are planting their fields in preparation of the abundant summer months and the rich harvest in late summer and autumn. So Beltane is a vibrant celebration of fertility. But we have to look at the overall folklore to be able to understand that fascinating time of the year. The May festivities begin with Walpurgis Night, or in German known as Walpurgis Nacht, on April the 30th. It is the night that is known to be that of the spirits and also the wild night. It was the day where the energies were cleared, with dancing, singing, laughter, lust and noise, to make space for what was about to come. On Walpurgis Night, the marriage between the daughter of the earth, the flower goddess, and the son of heaven, the sun god, which was also known as Bel or Belinos in Celtic, was celebrated. And if you think about it, this holy reunion of the female and the male, it makes sense. A flower can only thrive with the sun. Its growth follows the sun as it moves across the sky. They are inseparable. So it not only is a day where the veil to the other world once again is thin, it also is a fertility festival. As opposite from Samhain on the wheel of the year, Beltane is associated with a thinning of the veil. And during winter I was wondering quite often how happy the fairies would be once they wake up and can dance around their beloved flowers and enjoy the warmth of the sun. So it only makes sense that it is the perfect time to work with the fairies and the fae, to show them respect and your gratitude if you work with them, and leave them some offerings. Legend also has it that on Walpurgis Night the witches got on their brooms and rode together to the Blocksberg. There they hold a big party and danced around the fire. The movie Coven of Sisters beautifully depicts that belief that was present during the Middle Ages. Today the Walpurgis Night is known to be a night of laughter, dancing and celebration. And next year I will bring you to one of the biggest Walpurgis Night festivals in Germany. Back in the day it was common that people talked to each other in signs, wearing a specific dress, a specific color, wearing something in your head. Everything had a meaning, and I believe that it is because of a lot of these signs that were shown hidden that a lot of traditions have lived on in times when they weren't welcome. So on Walpurgis Night it was common back in the day that the boys put a green twig in front of their girlfriend's house. Remember that the Walpurgis Night was the wedding between the flower goddess and the sun god, and it was a festival of fertility. It was also customary to light 2 large fires on that night. These May bonfires were lit to drive away the evil spirits, and these fires had an immense meaning for the people back in the days. The fires were believed to have healing, protective, and cleansing properties, and were important rays of light during these specific times of the year. People would gather around these fires and drive their cattle between the 2 fires, so the animals could be purified and protected from disease. And there is a tradition called Maisprung, where 2 lovers would jump over the May bonfire together. If you think about the origin and Beltane being a festival of fertility, it makes sense that the sabbath embodies a more wilder and more free, even light-hearted energy than all the other festivals. In the past, you were simply allowed to indulge your urges on this day. Lovers would make love in the forest nearby, once again symbolizing the sacred marriage between heaven and earth, male and female, because not only nature was supposed to blossom in the months to come. The ashes of the great fire were then reused. They were spread on the fields in the hope that they would have a fruitful effect. And there is a saying, a so-called Bauernregel in German, and if you translate it into English it would be something like, if the witch's night is full of rain, it will be a year with plenty of blessings. After the Wild Night, on May 1st, the spring festival Beltane was celebrated. Nature bursts forth with elemental force, and everything is in full blossom. The maypole was set up as a symbol of fertility in many places. This custom is still widespread in many regions in Germany today, and I also remember the big beautiful birch that was decorated with blue and white ribbons, a wreath at the top of the tree, and the custom that someone would steal the tree overnight. Women and men unite at the dance around the maypole and symbolize this divine union of heaven and earth, female and male. Cows were also decorated with flowers around this time of the year. In the Alps, farmers decorate their cows with flowers and bells when they are driven back to the farms from the mountains to this day. People would also make a green soup made from all the freshly grown herbs back in the day, full of nutrients, an expressive sign that life had returned, a sign that nature can provide us with fresh life again. And it was a way for people to connect with the spirit of spring. And I love how nature mirrors these traditions. If you think about the plants that are growing in spring, so many of them have detoxifying properties. Dandelion, for example, with its beautiful yellow sun-like flower, just brings happiness and detoxifies the mind, the body, the liver, and drives away the winter depression. So making these green soups back in the day, using all these fresh spring herbs and flowers, really helped the people to regain strength after winter, and this is probably my favorite tradition of all. If you want to decorate your altar or your home for Beltane, here are some symbols to use that represent Beltane. The cuckoo is deeply connected to the Walpurgis Night and Beltane because he announces the wedding between the flower goddess and the sun god. The horseshoe is a sign of good luck and fertility. And did you know that the Celts thought that when Odin rides with his horse over the soil, everything would be fertile and start to blossom. So it was good luck to have horses running over your ground and finding a horseshoe. A flower wreath is also perfect to use for a Beltane altar setup. And I cannot help myself but think about all the young women dancing around the maypole with beautiful flower wreaths on their head, laughing and just enjoying the Beltane celebrations. A fire or a candle is also perfect as it represents the bonfire and therefore the transformative and purifying energy of Beltane. You can also include everything that represents fertility, like seeds, flowers, honey, the color green, fertility goddesses, and so on. Here are some of my favorite ways to celebrate Beltane. Spend time outside in the sun and make a picnic. What better way is there to enjoy nature than having a picnic? Eating delicious food, reading a good book, having some tea, all while listening to the sounds of nature, the songs of the birds and the whistles of the trees that are ever present now. So I decided to start this year's celebration of the Sabbath with a picnic. And for that I did some kitchen witchery again. I wanted to bake something delicious that had a fresh taste and decided to bake a vegan lemon tart. And you will find the original recipe linked down below. Honestly, this lemon tart was so good and refreshing, and I highly recommend you to try it out. Another beautiful way to celebrate Beltane is to make a floral wreath. And I remember as a child I would always collect daisies and make floral wreaths or necklaces with them. I just loved these natural pieces of jewelry and felt like a flower fairy whenever I made them. And there is just something so innocent about daisies, about making a flower wreath. It takes you back into your childhood without even trying. It is as the daisies speak to your soul and want to say, remember the carefree days, remember your dreams and start following them with all your heart. And whenever I celebrate a Sabbath, I feel called to visit an ancient place. I journeyed to the ancient ruin of a small castle and found so many daisies there. The butterflies were having a blast, dancing around the flowers. They even paid me a visit and said hello. So I simply sat down and made a daisy floral wreath, like I did when I was a young girl. And I chuckled as I remembered how easy it was back then. Remembered how proud I was when I made a wreath and wear it all day long. You can also make a beautiful floral wreath to hang above your altar or to use for your individual maypole. All you need is a wreath, flowers, you can also use fake flowers if you like, and colorful ribbons. And as always, just let your creativity speak for you. Wreaths are such a beautiful way to express your inner self, and there is no boundaries to your creativity. Nature is in full blossom now, so it only makes sense to also invite the flowers into your home. Use colors that represent Beltane like yellow, red, green, blue, and put them simply everywhere in your apartment. This simple ritual idea is representing the maypole, and all you need to do is putting your ribbons on a tree in your garden or simply on a few branches in a vase. You can even do a maypole yourself using the floral wreath that you made and then decorating a branch with it as well as colorful ribbons. It is really so simple, and in just a few minutes you have a beautiful decoration that represents fertility and abundance and this vibrant energy of this year. Because Beltane is representing fertility and abundance, you can also work with fertility deities if you want. I have been researching deities a lot recently rather than working with them, but I highly encourage you to do the same if this is something that is calling out to you. But there isn't only one universal goddess of fertility. Many cultures have their own goddesses associated with fertility. And if you think about it, it only makes sense. Ancient cultures depended upon the foods provided by Earth for their survival. So abundance in nature meant abundance in food for them. Their lives revolved around the cycle of the seasons because their existence depended on access to food. If there is one flower that I connect to spring and summer, then it is definitely dandelion, as well as the daisy. Just thinking about a field full of dandelions is making me smile and just makes me happy. Dandelion can also be used to make delicious dandelion honey that is vegan, and all you need is dandelion flowers, water, citron and sugar. Make sure to collect dandelion from a place that is away from the street or where pesticides are used. And please only collect them if you are sure about this plant and what you collect. I found the most beautiful dandelion field while being outside, and I probably just looked at the lush green sprinkled with hundreds of yellow suns for about 30 minutes. Dandelion is so beautiful, and I feel like so underrated. Because it surrounds us everywhere, we don't think of it much anymore. But while collecting these tiny and fluffy yellow flowers, I could not help but admire this beautiful plant. I had so much fun collecting my dandelion, and after that, just lay down in the dandelion field, soaking in the smell of the grass and the earth and the flowers. And it took me a while until I was ready to go home. But once I was home, I washed the dandelion properly to get rid of any dust or dirt. Once it is properly washed, put the dandelion in a pot and pour fresh water over it. Leave this for about 2 hours. After that, bring it to a boil for a short time, then put a lid on the pot and leave this mixture overnight. Use a strainer to remove the dandelion flowers from the soaked water. And all that is left now is to put your pot on a stove and to pour in the sugar, a little bit of lemon zest, and bring it to a boil. Stay patient because this takes a little while, and you can test the mixture by putting a little bit on a little bowl, letting it cool down, and if it has the same consistency like honey, then it is perfect and you can pour it into your jars. Now my mixture looks a little bit dark because I use brown sugar, but if you use normal regular white sugar, then you have this beautiful golden color that honey has. You can also celebrate Beltane by making offerings for the fairies. You can give them the dandelion honey you made, some baked delicacies that you made for your picnic, or you can also make a fairy ring with crystals, pearls, or flowers. And while I was spending the day outside making flower crowns and just dancing with the butterflies, I was thinking what the fairies may like as an offering. And I decided to leave a little flower crown that I made to show them that I'm inviting them together with their playfulness into my life this year, to embody more of this playfulness this year as well. Fairies also like shiny things like crystals or pearls, and I remember making a fairy ring made of pearls with a friend when I was younger. You could also make a little fairy garden with lots of colorful flowers and just be thankful for the abundance and the work the fairies do in nature, and they will be delighted to accept your gift. If you have the opportunity, you can make a little bonfire or visit your local festival. Otherwise, you can simply light a green, yellow, or red candle at home. All of these colors represent the vibrant energy of Beltane. And I feel like candle magic is magic that is always included in my guides because it is so simple, yet so powerful. There is just something about lighting a candle and then sitting with it, watching it burn all the way down. And because Beltane is the perfect time to renew and reawaken our own inner fire, our passion. So lighting a candle can also be part of a ritual where you sit down with a candle and do some reflecting. What are my passions? Do I allow myself to live my passions? And how can I do more that I'm passionate about? I suppressed my passions so many years, and after I allowed myself to just create and to let out my inner creativity, my inner fire started to get bigger again. So what can you do from now on so that your inner fire is burning bright? In general, Beltane is the perfect time to perform any magic for abundance and happiness and love and fertility. And I hope you enjoyed this witchy guide about how to celebrate Beltane. I hope this video can help you to understand the energy behind the Sabbath a little bit more. And let me know which idea you like the most and how you will celebrate Beltane this year. I hope you have a lovely Beltane. Love you and bye bye.